stated that they will need to watch the recording, but we can start right now. So let me do some introductions. Um, we have Jamie Watson here, who is a community schools coordinator down in Roswell. So she's handling the lower right-hand corner of the state. We have Melanie Maestas here, who is where I live in Santa Fe, and she's the community coordinator there. She's also working with the 100%. And I'm very happy to introduce to you a friend and colleague, Peter Dublin, who is the co-founder of Family Learning. And, you know, for me, part of the joy of this thing is that um, people either get it instantly or they're puzzled. And I'm one of the lucky ones who got it just about instantly when Peter was telling me that they had been working for many, many years quite successfully. I go back in technology a long way. I remember Bank Street Writer, and that was one of the first things that you could use a computer for education. And the guy who started Bank Street Writer is in front of you right now, like 40 something years ago. He's been working in this field for so long. And his partner, John Bauer, knows a little bit too. He founded Lexia Learning. So if you've ever heard of Lexia Learning, these are the brain power behind that whole thing. But what they were finding was that there was another way of approaching this, which was leveraging the power of the family. And that's why I'm so excited for you to hear what Peter has to say and Peter hear what you have to say. The thing that I'll say is that when I found out about this, I used it in one of my first projects that we were doing. And what I liked about it is that it's in English and Spanish both, but it is where the parent is working with the kid. If the parent spends 10 or 15 minutes with the kid together, they're both looking at the same tablet or laptop or computer or whatever, the kid will continue practicing and they each have to set goals for each other. The dynamic between the parent and the kid is so beautiful and it bypasses the need for more teachers. It's not competing with what the teacher's doing, it's complementary to it. So as I'm thinking, you know, if you were in a sport or you were doing dance or whatever, you'd have to strengthen your body. No one would be mad at you for working out more and getting stronger if you're working out one way and then working out another way. It all makes you stronger. So Peter's going to be able to explain what he's doing right now, and especially the reason I got on this so quick was Peter was telling me yesterday about a project they're doing in Texas with the Colonias and how that is working out. And I think it has tremendous potential for us here in New Mexico, all across. There are uh, different challenges in different places. In Indian country, we have people who don't have water or electricity. There's an answer for that. And in some of the other places, the Spanish in Taos, my favorite story was there was a young mother who was trying to get the software to go, and she ended up making 6 phone calls. Not that it's difficult, she was just new to the technology. But on the second phone call she made, she said, "Let me tell you why we're doing this. My husband works several jobs. He doesn't speak English. I can't get him to go to school to learn English, but he's learning English working with our son. And this is the only thing that's going to get him to qualify for a job where he doesn't have to work 2 or 3 jobs. He could get a good paying job because if he knows English and Spanish, he's worth more." And that was her motivation for getting the software in there, was that this was a way it was going to help the entire family learn. So Peter, with that little bit of introduction, if you want to fill in anything more that I've left out, or you want to just start, please go on. But I'm so happy that you're getting to meet with these individuals because they're really leading what's going on in their areas and all of the schools. And here comes Nicole too from Farmington, and I know that we're getting some things going up in Farmington. So Peter, go ahead and um, oh, I should let you each introduce yourself too. Here I've introduced you. Jamie, why don't you go first? Because I know Melanie is driving.
Good morning. I'm Jamie Watson. Like Freddie said, I support the Southeast region in community schools. I live in Roswell. I'm a former middle school principal. So very passionate about the work that we do with families and just excited to be here today. So thank you so much.
So what work do you do with families?
So we actually mainly support our educators in discipline, but biggest thing right now we Ferdy is to help schools include family voice and include families in learning instead of telling families what's going on, talking at families. So, kind of our big thing right now is we work directly with coordinators who are in schools, and we're helping them to bring those family voices to the table. We also do some other partner work. Like Ferdy said, I work with a little bit with 100%. So we've done some work with our health council and just trying to get the word out about community schools to families and that in community schools, they do have that voice. And they should have that voice in what's happening in their students' um, education.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Melanie, are you able to introduce yourself a little bit too? And then I'll go to
Yeah,
Nicole.
yes. Can you hear me well?
Perfectly.
Yes,
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie. I work in the Northeast region. I'm really excited to be here today. I'm also a community organizer. We just finished organizing a big event in the South Valley where we gave out 700 backpacks to families. I've been a community organizer for about 13 years now. I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to be here. I love working with families, and I love working with communities. I love working with community school coordinators and supporting them in their role as a community coordinator. So yeah, thank you so much for having me here today.
so what was in the backpack?
So we gave out school supplies, and then we also gave them a free for the farmers market. So they get $20 in dollars, and they were able to use them wherever they want in the farmers market, and they were able to buy some fresh produce.
Okay,
Thank you.
And Nicole, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Nicole Murillo. I live in Farmington, but I support the schools in our area from Cuba to Gallup, Aztec, Bloomfield, so the northwest region of our state. I was a community school principal. I've been a school counselor and a educator, and yeah.
And you left out your workforce connection.
Oh yeah, and so we have a bunch of different projects going on. Like right now, the one project is multi-layered systems of support, which is educational framework for the public education department that wasn't rolled out in a beautiful way. So I'm trying to help roll that out in a different way, more supportive way, understanding way. And then also the workforce connections, my director has asked me to partner with them. And what that looks like is slowly unraveling and or not unraveling. It's taking shape,
Raveling,
actually.
raveling.
It's taking shape. At first it was a struggle. Like I didn't know which direction to go. My director, she really trusts us, all of us. So she was just like, "Here, this is what I want you to do, but I'm not gonna tell you how to do it." Which that's okay. But this it was a slow start, but I feel like it's really taking momentum now. So,
Okay. Um, let me start with vocabulary. Um, Family engagement, which is what we're all about. But there seem to be two distinctly different understandings of family engagement. One is for the family to be engaged in the school and in what the school is doing and in their kids' life in the school. That's not what we do. And so a lot of one of the challenges for us is to help people understand that there can be a different definition of family engagement. In your cases, you don't see that first form of family engagement as bad, but a lot of schools do, and a lot of teachers do. Uh, you know, it's annoying when parents come and talk to them about what's going on in their classroom. I mean, we've got a 500-year history of close the door and leave me alone. starting with universities and extending to public schools. In community schools, that it's not the same issue. But we deal with a different form of family engagement. For us, we're trying to get the parents engaged in their kids' learning and to do that at home. So as I talk and as you see our software, you'll see that that's what we mean by family engagement. You know, the two aren't inherently in conflict, but they are quite different, and the implementation is quite different. Our implementation does not require anything on the part of the teacher. Would it be better if there was some involvement on the part of the teacher? The answer is we don't know yet, but it probably would be. But we've designed our form of family engagement to not require any teacher time, in part because of all the pressures that are already on teachers' time. The other vocabulary is around family learning software, because it sounds like it's something. It sounds like it's something you know, that you've seen it. You must have. You know the word software, you know family learning somehow, but it doesn't. We kept looking for it as we were working on it and couldn't find it and still can't find it. So we get to define it. If it doesn't exist and we create it, we get to define it. The downside of that is we've got to explain it to people, but the upside is we get to define it. So we define family learning software as multi-generational content and multi-generational process. So our product has content written directly, explicitly for preschool kids, elementary school kids, upper elementary school kids, middle school kids. Now we're getting perhaps beyond kids, high school youth and adults, all in the same product. So anyone coming into that product has access to all of that. And if they're in first grade and they don't know, they have no phonemic awareness, they just start at a low level. They can even start in the early. It doesn't say pre-K, it doesn't say preschool, it doesn't say kindergarten, it doesn't say first grade. It just says early. And if that's the best place for them, that's where they start. It's all level, there are no grades. There are, but nobody knows them but us. So it's and of course it goes up through adults, because as you probably understand, if kids are having difficulty with literacy skills, the likelihood, the overwhelming likelihood is that parents are too. So we're multi-generational content. I mean, English and Spanish, but the most important thing is it's for all ages in the family, from, well, not all ages, because anybody under 4 shouldn't be using a computer. But from that age all the way up through adults, and the adults are high school kids, college kids, parents, grandparents, any age. It's skill-based, so it's all about their skills, not about their age. And it's multi-generational process in that we support and encourage family members learning with each other, family members learning together. We're not asking parents to be teachers. They're not. They are, in a sense, obviously. We always talk about parents are their kids' first teachers, but they're not teachers in the sense that they perceive of themselves as teachers. So we don't ask them to teach their kids. We ask them to learn together, in part because the research indicates that that process is much more powerful, and in part because learning together removes the stigma of who knows more about what. Because in some cases, kids know more than the parents. They have higher literacy skills native Spanish-speaking kids might in fact have better English literacy skills than their parents. They might even have better Spanish literacy skills than their parents. So the idea is it's bi-directional always. And so it's learning together. So it's multi-generational content and multi-generational process. And you'll kind of see that in the software with all the different kinds of content we have, as well as the various features we have to encourage and support people learning together. And I say family members because it's not always adults and their kids. Could be an older sibling and a younger sibling. Could be two adults working together. All of those, the ideal is that all of that happens. And Ferdy indicated correctly that we're not asking them to spend 100% of their time together. The main benefit of learning together is emotional. It's motivational. It's not that I've got the skills and I'll teach you the skills. I mean, that kind of 500-year-old paradigm of learning. It's that kids learn what's important to their parents by watching their parents' behavior. So if their parents watch TV, the kids think it's okay to watch TV. If the parents read with them, the parents value reading. And so it's much that. So 5 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week together with their child will motivate their child to spend half an hour a day. And I still have a hypothesis, which we now have record keeping. I may be able to prove my hypothesis. My hypothesis is that parents will start working with their kids because parents want to help their kids. And they won't acknowledge that they can't read. They won't acknowledge it to themselves, to anybody else. So the excuse is to help their kid. My hypothesis is that parents, as they learn with their kid, they think they're helping their kid learn, but they're learning with their kid. They will eventually discover, in the same way Columbus discovered America, the adult program, the adult activities, which they will then go and use for themselves. And in fact, we did see that in a summer program, because we now track how much time anybody using the program is using the program, how much time they're using it alone, and which activities they're working on. And what we saw was parents and kids working a lot together in the middle school program. It was a middle school summer camp. But then the parents spent a lot of time on their own in the adult program.
Why don't you show them something, Peter? Because I've got all these pictures in my head. I've seen it, and these poor folks here,
Yeah.
they're just trying to imagine something. It'd be much nicer if they can actually see it on the screen.
Okay. Well, I think I can do that. Let's see, what do we got?
We see my invitation to you. So we know that you saw that. There we go. We're seeing it now.
So there are a lot of things actually happening on this login screen that are a bit different. The first words they have are about learning together. So we're constantly every time they log in, we ask them, can they find someone to learn with? They don't have to, but we're always encouraging, whether it's the words they read or we're going to have. Okay, let me.
When you share your screen, you might have to hit that little button that says share audio.
Yeah, unfortunately I did, and it still isn't working. So I'm gonna quit Safari and try that again. Sometimes that works.
Do you have someone to learn with?
There we go.
Okay.
Now we heard it.
Yeah, but now let me share it again so you can see it and hear it. Turn the button on. There we go. So the first words they read or the first
Do you have someone to learn with?
words they hear are about learning together with someone else. So we support and encourage, we don't require. There are some things that you can only do if you log in together, but the activities you can do on your own. So that's one thing. The second thing is we're modeling the behavior. One tablet, lots of people sitting around it. You know, it's not in the parent's hand, it's in the kid's hand. So we want to model on the login screen, we're asking them to log in the behavior that we'd like to encourage. And unlike any other software program, 3 people can log in at the same time. And when they successfully complete an activity, they all get individual credit for what they do together. People who work in adult education will find this anecdote, well, I guess you could say it's amusing. We showed it to an adult education center and said, we can't use this. You've got to give us a report that separates out what they were doing alone and what they were doing together. Because if they were working together, we don't know who got the answers right.
Dripping with sarcasm there, Peter. That's why we like you from the Northeast. You're really good at that sarcasm that we don't quite have. We don't exactly understand it in New Mexico, but we appreciate it.
I just couldn't believe it. Okay, so I'm going to log in as 2 people. They're both members of the demo family. Oh, and if people are confused about what to do, we used to have kind of the world's shortest help, a 2-page document, but we found it didn't work. So we've switched all of our help to...
When you first log in, select the Settings button to adjust your settings. Choose your module or language, pick a background and/or character.
So all of our help now, I mean, there's help for each activity, which is both written and audio, but the usual help book or user guide is now all done in video. And if they switch to Spanish,
lee con la familia cuando sea posible. Uno lee y el otro ayuda y corrige los errores. La primera.
Everything's going to be in Spanish as well. So
welcome to Early Literacy. You and your family are in control. First, set a learning goal. It will help you learn better. You and your family members can learn about feelings, alphabet sounds, reading, or new words at any level you want, easy to hard. In Feelings, you can watch a music video, watch a puppet show, or imagine the pictures while you listen to a story. In Sounds, you learn the sounds and letters that are used to read. You can listen to books and read them when you're ready. You can also play word games to learn new words. Stars show your progress. A yellow star means partially completed, and a green star shows that you've mastered that skill. Early Literacy, have fun learning to read.
So every module, whether it's early, elementary, middle, adult, has a 45-second animated introduction giving, it turns out, all the kids everything they need to know to start. Adults are funny. They're always afraid they're going to break something. So they're very tenuous about doing anything. Kids kind of realize they can't break anything. So basically every kid that we've watched, they just simply start using the program as soon as they're done with the animation. Whereas adults are, a little more, they may, click on the help button when they get in.
This is the
that kind of thing. So we have, let's talk about setting a goal. You can't set a goal by yourself. It's the only thing in the program that requires 2 people logging in at the same time. And it's based on, it's interesting research. It's based on, my partner is a research guy. I'm not, but he is. And he found research on New Year's resolutions. The likelihood of someone fulfilling their New Year's resolution was significantly higher if they shared it with somebody else than if they just made it to themselves. So we decided we take that research and apply it to setting goals. So it's really easy to set the goal. You just pick a level and you pick a subject and you pick a date by which it's going to happen. But I can't click this button until whoever I'm logged in with acknowledges my goal. And then I can set the goal and it shows up here and its deadline shows up here. So it's, again, one of the ways that we encourage people to log in together.
And I'm just going to stop right there and say that self-efficacy is one of the things that comes along with this, because they're socializing and making normal the idea, I'm going to have a goal, I'm going to reach the goal, I'm going to have another goal, and it's it's just positive stuff for people to be thinking about instead of I'm just clicking buttons.
We because we encourage family members to learn together, there's a huge implicit social emotional learning component to everything that we do. But we decided with the youngest kids that we'd also do to focus on feelings a little more explicitly. So for the youngest of kids, we've got feelings activities, and they are a series of music videos done by this children's singer-songwriter. He also does a series of puppet skits on the same
Hey guys,
emotions.
What do we want for lunch? Pizza! What, Sammy? Pizza. What's the matter? What happened to your voice, Sammy?
Sammy, did you lose your voice somewhere? I can help you find it. Well, some of my friends told me today that I'm too loud, that I sound like I'm...
And then we've come up with a kind of activity which we think will encourage them to use their visual imagination. We play a story.
You are my
In this case, it's the music video.
Don't pretend that's such a waste of...
But we have a kind of muted pattern moving in the background, so that they have to imagine what the story sounds like or what the story in the music video sounds like. Our phonics activities they're very extensive. We have almost 300 phonics activities, including phonological awareness, which is understanding how to make the sound. And then when they feel they're ready,
Alligator.
they practice doing that themselves. For the older kids, we've got phonemic awareness and decoding, where they're looking at sound symbol relationship.
Sled, slap. Excellent.
Now, for some of the activities, a fair number of the activities, if two players log in at the same time, the way in which the activity plays is a little bit different. It's a little bit more competitive, a little more game-like. So the idea is that they're playing against their parents, and they answered that question on the first guess, so they got 500 points. And the turn switched from the parent to the child. The child can provide themselves a handicap. So they can say, well, my parent's smarter than I am, so I got to get more points. So they decide they're going to go 4 a handicap 4 times. So if they answer correctly the first time,
slam, slab, quiz. Fantastic.
they get 2,000 points instead of the 500 that parents get. If they answer incorrectly, the turn switches and the other player gets to answer, but they get fewer points for answering it correctly on the second time than the first time. And so it kind of adds a little gamey, competitive aspect. If they answer the questions correctly, 80% of the questions correctly, they both get a green star. So the skill mastery has nothing to do with gameplay. But the idea is we want to encourage them to log in together. And this was one way that we could encourage them to log in together. If at any, we believe 100% of parents can learn with their kids. That's the assumption we make. But we know it's not an assumption that everybody makes, and particularly parents. I can't read. I did poorly in school. I'm not a teacher, whatever. So if at any point they're not sure what to do, they click the parent tips button.
Here's how I talk with my child about matching things. First, I ask, what makes a match? If there is a speak icon, I ask my child, do we need this to make a match? Then they make their matches. If their matches weren't right, I ask which ones were wrong. They learn the most when we talk about. Así es como hablo con mis hijos acerca de las coincidencias.
So
Primero le pregunto.
you'll notice that the parent tip is specific to that type of activity, but it's all about a learning strategy. It's not about, we don't tell them to say what the kid is right or wrong. I mean, parents are judgmental. The computer is not. The computer is much better to answer that. And it's also easier and faster, and it's always not 100%, but almost always right. So we want to get them to focus on providing a strategy for their kids. And of course, the other beneficiary of that strategy is the adult. And so
Peter, let's let Jamie give some questions or comments.
Yeah.
What do you think so far about what you've seen, Jamie?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it definitely is. I love the design. I think it looks fun, and I could see a lot of parents and students engaging in it. I don't have any questions at this time. More, I think, just kind of what is this look like in practice in schools, I guess would be my question. Like, is it something that schools purchase? Is it a pilot program? Like, how is this something that we could connect with our since we kind of liaison, right? Like if I had coordinators or schools interested in this, what does that look like?
Or organizations buy, families own. So that's our second challenge with schools. They think they're buying for themselves, and ordinarily they are buying from them. They buy textbooks, they own them. They rent them to the family for a year for nothing, and then get them back. Whereas our design is that an organization, whether it's a school, a state department of education, a corporation, a nonprofit, whatever the organization is, they buy, but they give it to the family. Once the family has it, they own it. And owning means they own it. There's no subscription. We don't do subscriptions. Literacy is a long journey. In spite of what other software companies say, 3 weeks you'll learn a new language. It's just not true. It's years. And it's years whether you're beginning the journey as a 5-year-old or you've been scarred along the way as an adult. It's years. And we don't want to start people on that journey and stop it for financial reasons. So it's a one-time perpetual license for as many as 6 family members. So you're not, although schools are always thinking in terms of students, when you purchase it for a student, you're actually enabling 5 other family members to have access to the software as well. Each with their own account. So the account is represented with the green stars. So it's keeping track for me of how I'm doing so that I can then decide what I want to do next. So that
And in
of
terms of
all the
what you're
schools who have
doing,
bought it so far, none of them are using it in school. They all are purchasing for the families to use at home.
yeah, and I was going to say, Jamie, that in terms of the grant that we've put in for the feds, of which you're a part, you know, because Chavez 100% and everything, we've included this software in our grant thing. So you'll be able to give it away to families that are participating through the community school. And my point of view, as we just had on the earlier call, the community of practice and the peer coaching is essential. So, what I've talked with Peter about is that we want to get this into the hands of some parents now so that when the thing starts later on, we already have people in your community that have used it. So I think there is a number, probably a sufficient number, let's just put it, however many parents you would bring us that would want to try this out, we can provide that with them now without you having to purchase it. Because we want to get some people there having the experience that can talk to other people, say, oh yeah, this was fun, this worked out for, you know, for our family. And it wouldn't matter if it's English, Spanish, or whatever, you know. Just the idea that this is something new, and until people have tried it and they can talk to other people who've tried it, that's a big barrier, and we want to eliminate that barrier.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what, so families, can they do this on a phone? Does it work like on a mobile device, or do they need to have like a computer set up?
It will technically work on a phone, but a phone is not a good, a phone is too small for two people to learn together. So it will work technically. And of course, some of the phones are pretty big. But it will work, but it's not ideal. Because the phones don't really, I mean, you can look over somebody's shoulder, but you know, we don't want people looking over each other's shoulder. We want them talking together about what they're doing together. And so they can technically.
Right. Okay.
We, up in Indian country, like I mentioned earlier, where they have problems with water and electricity, and let alone internet, because this is delivered over the web. What you're seeing right now, Peter, you know, he said Safari, he's using his web browser to do it. But he was also able to create a version of it that could be loaded directly on a tablet, what do you call it, a Google tablet, Android tablet. And it worked just fine. They didn't have to have any internet or anything, and they could just be doing their thing. So
yeah, the situation in Texas is for, I mean, it's an unusual immigrant community because they're all homeowners, inexpensive homes, but homeowners. And it's I guess a little north of Houston, and there it's not quite clear who the customer is. It's probably going to be a combination of the school district and the State Department of Education and the State Department of Workforce Development. And they're buying tablets. So the tablets all come preloaded with all 12,000 activities. And so that's a situation where electricity, well, not as much electricity, but internet is spotty. And so rather than, in some cases, Holbrook, Colorado, they're buying tablets for the kids that need tablets and online license for the kids that don't. In Texas, they just decided they're giving everybody a tablet. Or at least, I mean, it's not everybody because they're starting with 1,000 of the 10,000 students. But that's the other way it can get delivered. If you don't like that character, You can pick a different character. If you find, as I do, some kids like the muted background because it's less distracting. I like the prettier pictures. It doesn't distract me at all. And so I just change it.
That's cool. Very cool. Yeah, I definitely think, Freddie, I'd like to talk with Kristen, that's in our group from Roswell, and see if we have some parents that maybe we could recommend. I definitely could see a couple of, people that maybe we know that might be interested in giving it a try as we get close, because I think it's got it just really makes learning at home simple. And I think for parents now that are so busy, how do I do that? How do I continue the learning at home? And I like this. That's really cool.
Yeah, we could.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And the whole idea of having the parents being able to do something with their kids around learning without stepping on the toes of the school. I think the biggest pushback that we've had is that people think they have to fit this into their literacy program. Well, how are we going to do that? We're already, we're doing structured literacy. We're doing that. We're doing everything else in the world. And they forget the kid has to be able to read no matter what is going on. The things they're going to read are not from your program. They have to be able to read in real life,
Right. Right.
See you later.
Yeah, I don't know yet whether it'll be 4 o'clock or.
So
take your time.
Everything's in Spanish. The same content is in both English and Spanish.
That's awesome.
And so we could set up each of you. We call it a pilot. It's usually you think of a pilot as short duration. With us, that's not the case. It would just be a limited number of families, but we could set each of you up with 25 families. And whenever, today, tomorrow, whenever you're ready. And then the instructions are, it's all self-registering. The school doesn't register them, the family registers itself. They go to our website, they click a button, they enter a code, they put in their own personal information, and they're up and running. And so, as Ferdy said, that we have less problem with sales and more problem with getting the families, because the schools don't know how to get to families.
Right.
So schools will purchase this and then they don't know what to do with it, because they can't just give it to IT and say, put it on our single sign-on system and all the kids have access to it.
I mean, what I'd like to see, Jamie, I'd like to see a 100% meeting where there are actually kids and parents at the 100% meeting, and there was a meal for them, and what they got was they got to take this home. I mean, that'd be kind of nice thing to give a bunch of families that were coming to a 100% around the community schools group for 100% and or the workforce or the job mentorship. Like there's families out there that know, like that family in Taos. My biggest barrier is language. Is the language of the people in my family is why we can't earn a good living. And this is an answer. They put in the work, they get the skill.
Yeah,
They eliminated the whole barrier. Only barrier would be if they didn't have a device.
Right.
And you could register them, or have them register themselves. It's 1 to 2 minutes at the meeting. So by the time they get home, they're up and running.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I think Kristen is our 100% community schools sector lead. So I'd love to visit with her and then let you know kind of what we think might work. And I think it's a great vision, and I think we just need to talk to some people that got boots on the ground and see what we can work out. Yeah.
Well, the funny part is if I hear back from Dan Jennings, he said the only time he's available is Monday afternoon. But if between him and Helen, they can hook up for David Goldberg to be meeting. This is Peter, this is on the workforce side, the CSM side.
Yeah.
But we'll be in Roswell Monday and Tuesday. So it would be very simple to show you what could be done. We could make a few steps without having to wait weeks, is the point. If the stars align and things go the right way, this could be a pretty easy thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I could see I have some ideas already to talk with her about. I have a few schools that I think in Roswell might be interested in um, sharing some parents with us. And I think that's, if you can extend that invitation and get them in, like you said, then they can say, oh, hey, I did this. And like if it becomes a thing, then it's that we already have some people that have done it and can spread the word. And here in Roswell, that's a big thing, word of mouth. So
And
I think we can.
we can set both you and the school administrators up with administrative access so that you can get the record keeping data that we get uh, uh, for for each region.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, I
Very
think
cool.
it could be pretty cool. So I'm glad that you had the time today, that you could spend the time. The nice part about it is we have a recording now that we can share with the people who couldn't make it, and they'll get a bit of a head start on that whole thing. I know that Nicole has a secret advantage, and that is that they've already purchased this up in Farmington. And so
Oh,
the problem is, again, like Peter said, it was great that they purchased it, but they didn't know how to get the parents. And so that's a good problem to have because with the 100% and everything going on out there, I think we can overcome that hurdle. But
yeah.
I'm very grateful for you giving your time this morning because I know how busy you are. Grateful that Peter could jump on this so quick. I just dumped this on him yesterday. Said, "All right, you said you wanted to talk to these people. Boom, here it is tomorrow. Let's do it." So it's great, and he didn't mention to you he's in Cambridge, Massachusetts, so he's all the way on the East Coast right
Oh,
now.
goodness.
And when I want to get good lobster and good fried clams, I have to get on an airplane and go visit him to have a good New England seafood dinner, you know?
Oh, that sounds delicious. No, definitely. Thank you for your time today. This is an awesome opportunity, and I'm excited to see where it possibly goes. And I appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
All
good
right,
day,
you be
gentlemen.
well.
You as well. Bye-bye.
And I'm going to turn off the recording.